guys, welcome back to my channel. So yesterday I didn't do a vlog because I weren't feeling too great. I was just really tired. So I put a post on YouTube yesterday asking what video I should do because I wanted to do like a sit down video. I suggested a Q&A or a birth of my 4 lovely children, and 2 people said they wanted to know about births. So I thought I would tell you all about the birth. I'm not going to go into like my pregnancy with them all. I'm just going to speak about the births, what time they were born, how much they weighed and things like that. So I have 4 children. I've got Amelia, who's 10 in June, Alana, who's 8 in June, I've got Elliott, who's 6 in October, and Isaac has just turned 3. So I will talk about Amelia first. I was 16 when I got pregnant with Amelia, completely shocked. Obviously I was still at college at this point. I thought, oh god, what's my mum and dad going to say? My mum was actually fine with it. I remember telling her, we was playing a game on the computer called World of Warcraft, and my mum used to play it as well, and I kept being sick and I didn't know why, so I asked my mum on this game. I said, Mum, I keep being sick and I don't know why. She was like, oh well, maybe we need to take you to the doctor. And then she said, do you think you could be pregnant? I was like, I hope not. She said, why? I thought you always wanted children. I was like, yeah, but not this young. And then the next day we went to the pound shop and got a pregnancy test, and there we are, 2 little lines. I was pregnant. I didn't really know how to feel because, like I say, I was 16, I was young. But I knew I wasn't going to get rid of her because I was excited as well. Even though I was scared, I was excited. And then I was about 6 weeks when I found out I was pregnant. I can't remember when I told my dad, but because he lived in Leeds and I lived in Scarborough, I rang my dad on the phone, and I was so scared of telling my dad because I knew he would be really angry. And I said, Dad, I'm pregnant, and he put the phone down on me. So then I started crying, and it was just, oh, it was terrible. Obviously he came round and he absolutely adored Amelia, so it was fine. I just want to say I'm just filming in my girls' room because my room is an absolute pigsty. So with Amelia, I was 17 when I had her. I turned 17 in the February of 2009, and then she was born in June. I was 2 weeks overdue with Amelia. She was meant to be due in May, and I had her on the 6th of June. I woke up on the Saturday, no, not Saturday, I woke up on the Friday with contractions, and I was like, oh, this may be the start. I was due for an induction on Saturday morning, and I'd gone into hospital, and I was only, I think, 1 centimetre dilated, so they sent me home. And then overnight I just kept having contractions, and they were all in my back, and it were just so painful. And then on Saturday I ended up going to the hospital. I was in hospital pretty much all day waiting because I think they were really busy. And then at about 6:30, I think it was, they broke my waters, and then I started having contractions a bit more, and they were getting really strong, and they asked for some gas and air, and then they gave me some pethidine because I was in a lot of pain. And I remember not being able to move. I was sat on the edge of the bed in absolute agony. I couldn't lay down because my back was in so much pain. And I think because I was still young as well, I also panicked a little bit. They asked if I wanted an epidural, and from this day I wish I said yes, but I said no because I'd heard stories about it that it could paralyse you, and it scared me half to death, so I said no. And then I was only 3 centimetres dilated, so the doctors went and spoke to the higher doctors, or whatever they are. The midwife, sorry, went to go speak to the doctors, and the doctors came back and said, you're only 3 centimetres dilated, it looks like you're going to be having a big baby, so we need to do an emergency cesarean because I'm not progressing. So then I headed down for a cesarean, which was quite scary, obviously being only 17 at the time. And then Amelia was born at 2:40 in the morning, weighing a whopping 10 pounds 6.5. So at this point, the doctors thought something was wrong with her growth, so I saw her for about 2 seconds, not even that. They just showed me her, and then they took her up to SCBU because they wanted to monitor her. And it was really, really hard, obviously being so young and not having my baby there. I'd just had a major operation, and then they wheeled me back down to the ward, and I didn't see her until about 5:30 that next day, which was hard, really, really hard, where I'm sat looking at all the other mums with the babies, and I kept asking, when can I see Amelia? Can you bring her down to me, or can I go up to her? And it was awful. It was an awful experience because it was my first baby and she'd got whisked up to SCBU. But yes, she was a very big baby and that was probably why I wasn't progressing, because she was a large baby. And she will be 10 in June, and I can't believe it's been nearly 10 years since I had her. It doesn't seem that long ago at all, but she's also going to be in high school next year, which is very, very scary. Right, I'll talk about Alana now. Alana, my mum and dad, I planned Alana, so my mum and dad knew I wanted another baby, so they was happy about it. It was fine. I was 18 when I got pregnant with Alana, and I had her when I was 19. Alana's pregnancy was fine, other than I had really, really, really bad SPD and I was absolute agony. They said to me, did I want to have a planned cesarean, because my last birth was a cesarean, and I said no, I wanted to try for a VBAC, blah 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 blah. And then because I was still really young, I kind of got scared that, and my bump with Alana was big, you know, a lot bigger than Amelia's. So I was towards the end of my pregnancy. I'd gone over with Alana as well. I think I was about 41 weeks with Alana. I was really, really scared that it was going to be another big baby and I have to go through labour to then end up in an emergency cesarean. So, and my SPD pain got really, really bad. I was in absolute agony every single day. I couldn't move, could barely walk up the stairs. So I just rang the consultant and I said, I want to have an elective cesarean. And from this day, I regret this decision so much. So then my planned cesarean was booked for the 1st of June, 5 days before Amelia's birthday. So I came out of hospital on June the 3rd, and then it was Amelia's birthday 3 days after. Alana was born on the 1st of June at 10:07, and she weighed a good 9 pound 2. So I think if I'd gone 2 weeks overdue, she might have been a little bit bigger. So she was another big baby as well, not quite as big as Amelia, but a big baby. My cesarean went fine. I think because it was planned, I recovered a lot better than what I did with Amelia's. But I do, from this day, regret having an elective cesarean with Alana and wish I'd tried for a VBAC. So then there is Elliott. I had a really tough time with Elliott. My pregnancy weren't very good with Elliott whatsoever. I think I fell pregnant with Elliott when I was 21. I can't remember how old I was when I fell pregnant, but I had a lot of problems and I was in and out of hospital, and I was staying in hospital for a couple of weeks before I ended up having Elliott. Elliott was born at 27 weeks, so he was 13 weeks early. Elliott was born on the 5th of October 2013 at 7:50 in the morning. So 10 to 8 in the morning Elliott was born, and he weighed 1 pound 15. So like I say, I had a really tough time with Elliott. I opted to try for a VBAC after 2 cesareans with Elliot, and I was really excited because I thought, yes, I'm definitely going to get my natural birth that I always wanted. Well, at least try for a natural birth. And because of all the problems I had, I was in hospital. I think it was about 6:30 in the morning maybe. The nurse had come, the midwife had come put me on the monitor and listened to baby's heart, and she was like, yeah, it's fine. She left. About 5 minutes later, heard a popping sound, which I think was my waters. I stood up and like loads of watery blood came out, and then she'd come back in. I buzzed her and she came back in, and I said, I don't know what's going on. So she put me back on the monitor, and his heart rate was dropping fast, and she was like, we need to get him out now. So this was at 27 weeks. I remember ringing John on the phone. I was like, John, you need to get to the hospital because I'm having Elliot, like, now. So unfortunately, I had to have an emergency cesarean. And because Scarborough doesn't deal with babies born prematurely, he had to be transferred to hospital, which was really hard. I forgot to mention with Alana that after her birth, she got placed on me straight away, and I was able to hold her up until I went to the ward, and it was really lovely compared to Amelia, who I didn't see for a while. It was just so nice to be able to have her on me straight away, and that was it. I was left with her and was able to bond with her and everything else. It was just really nice. So yeah, back to Elliot. Because Elliot was born so early, they had to take him straight to Scarborough to get him on a ventilator and things like that. And before they transferred him to Leeds, they brought him back down to see me for about 2 minutes because they had to get him rushed there. And that was really hard, really hard. Not one, because he was born early and we didn't know what his outcome would be. And 2, I'd just had a cesarean. I was recovering this room and I didn't have my baby there, and it was really difficult. And I could hear all these other mums with their babies crying, and it was really hard. And it was hard being in a room recovering from a cesarean for 3 days without your baby there. And luckily, as all you know, Elliot is completely fine. But yeah, that was really hard experience to go through, and it definitely brought me and John closer together as a couple, and definitely made me look at things a lot differently. So last but not least, it's little Isaac. My pregnancy with Isaac was absolutely fine. I had no problems. I was a little bit scared with Isaac because after I had Elliot, I unfortunately had a miscarriage, and because of all the problems I had with Elliot and then having the miscarriage, I was very scared when I got pregnant with Isaac. I was really worried. Every time I went to the toilet, I was always scared in case there was blood there. But luckily, Isaac's pregnancy went absolutely fine. And then I think I was about 4 days overdue with Isaac. I opted to try for a VBAC after 3 cesareans. If anybody ever tells you you cannot try for a VBAC, yes, you can. It's your body, it's your decision. You have a right to decide whether you want a VBAC or a cesarean. A VBAC after 3 cesareans is a lot more safer than having another major surgery, and I was absolutely petrified of having another cesarean. I really didn't want another one, because I knew if I had another one I probably would never ever be able to experience a natural birth. So my waters broke, I think it was about 1 o'clock in the morning on, I don't even know what day it was, I'm hopeless with this. My waters broke with Isaac, and I was just like, oh my god, it's happening, I'm finally going to get my natural birth, and I was so excited. I'd gone to hospital and I was only 1 centimetre dilated, so they sent me home. Well, I said I wanted to go home. I said I'm not staying in hospital. They wanted to keep me in because my waters had broken, and after 24 hours it can cause an infection. But I said no, I wanted to go home and see if labour progresses at home. And when I got home the contractions kind of stopped. I wasn't having any, which kind of got me worried because I thought, oh, they said if I don't progress in labour I'm going to have another cesarean, and I just really didn't want that to happen. They told me to come in the morning, which I did, and they'd checked my cervix and I hadn't progressed at all, so they was like, I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to take it for a cesarean because of risk of infection and stuff like that. So my dreams of having a natural birth unfortunately didn't happen, and I had to have another cesarean, which was absolutely gutting because I really wanted to try for a natural birth, and to have 4 cesareans, it was hard, especially with like the experiences I've had. So they wheeled me into theatre and they told me that Isaac had pooed inside of me, and so they ended up getting him out. So really it was a good job I had a cesarean at the time I did, because unfortunately Isaac was born not breathing and it took him about 4.5 minutes to resuscitate him, and he ended up having to go onto a cooling mat because of lack of oxygen in his brain. So he was on a cooling mat for 72 hours, which was again really hard. After everything I'd been through with Elliott and my pregnancy were fine, with Isaac I really thought that it would be absolutely fine, and then to have my cesarean and then everything with Isaac happened, it was extremely difficult to deal with. So Isaac ended up getting rushed to Hull Hospital because, like I said before, Scarborough doesn't deal with sick babies. Luckily Isaac is absolutely fine and nothing was wrong with him, but he had to go on a cooling mat to prevent any further brain damage. But he's had checks and stuff, and everyone seems really happy with his progress and how he is. But after I had Isaac, I ended up going into the same room I got put into when I had Elliott. So to be back into that room again for the second time after having major surgery, not being able to leave the hospital and having my baby not there, it was really difficult, and I struggled a lot with that. Luckily they discharged me earlier than I did with Elliott, so I was able to leave the hospital, but I ended up getting an infection in my scar because I was doing too much, because obviously Isaac was in Hull Hospital and me and John were going back and forth there every single day. It was just really hard. For a while, I think for the first 10 minutes of after the first 10 minutes of having Isaac, we didn't know anything. We didn't know what time he was born, we didn't know how much he weighed or anything, and eventually someone came round and told us, and Isaac was born at 11:39 in the morning on the 26th of January, and he weighed 8 pounds 2. So apart from Elliott, who was born prematurely, all 3 of my babies have been quite a decent size. I have done a lengthy video on our channel before when we'd first started about Elliott and Isaac's pregnancy and what happened in hospital, so I'll put the link in the description box below if anybody wants to go see the longer version of me talking about Elliott's pregnancy and everything that he's been through, and same with Isaac. So there we are, that is the birth story of my 4 babies. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions about the children or anything else, just comment them down below and I will answer them as soon as I can. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. If you enjoyed it, give a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you tomorrow at 6 PM. Bye guys!